Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Fred Razak at CMTrading. Today is May 27, 2022, and today is Friday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the U.S. markets rallied big yesterday. We're going to take a look at that just a second. Looking at the major economic events of the day at 2:30 South African time. Out of the United States, we have a monthly CPI number coming out. That's a really important number that's coming out, so I do want to know. Now, looking at the various markets, the euro, the British pound, and the Australian dollar all rise steadily and are at resistance-ish level. Now, looking at the indices, the Dow Jones and the NASDAQ both rallied big. It looks more like a short squeeze, basically. And looking at commodities, gold steady while oil breaks out above 111. Broke out of that channel. And looking at stocks, Facebook fills up the gap. It's gapped down. We mentioned that earlier this week. And lastly, cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin inching lower. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. We're going at the Euro USD, pushing higher than our previous high of 107.40-ish level. We're about 15 pips above that. So no major deal, but we're hitting some congestion. When I mean congestion, I mean we're hitting some resistance-ish area around this area. This was previous support when it came to this. Okay, we see that here much clearer on a longer time frame. So this 107.60-ish level is a resistance-ish area. So just be aware of that as we're inching closer to that. Now looking at the GBP USD, same story. We rallied back to 126 from 121. That's over a 500 pip move on the upside. But remember, we are hitting that resistance-ish area here as well. Now looking at the Aussie USD, let's take a look at it. Did bounce a little bit, but nothing really to write home about. A little bit of a resistance-ish area right now altogether, but keep that in mind. Everything is trading in tandem. Now looking at gold, not much doing here. 1855, really unchanged for the week. But looking at crude oil, check this out. Nice little pop out yesterday above 112-ish level and popped to the 114-ish level and then giving it up right now at 113. But it did break that trading cycle, okay, that trading range at least, between these two levels of 94.95 to 111, and now it's breaking above it. Now there is a resistance at this area also, so as long as it's not pushing above 116, it should be around this area, so just keep that in mind. Now looking at the U.S. stock market, the Dow Jones trading to 32,700-ish yesterday, and then retracing here. Okay, it looks like it's topped out at this level for now. And looking at the NASDAQ, that's on a weekly, this is a daily, it bounced, but not that much. Okay, which is more inclined to think that we're just having a short squeeze right now than anything else. Now, if we look at the individual stocks, Microsoft did gain nicely. Amazon bounced, looks like the NASDAQ really. Okay, looking at Facebook, we covered that, filled in the gap. Now, if we look at that a little bit clearer, you can see that much better on a 30-minute chart where we gapped down back on the 23rd earlier in this week and then filled in the gap. Now, originally, this is a top of a move. Okay, so just keep that in mind as this is filling in that gap at this level. Now, looking at Tesla, also did bounce yesterday back above $700 a share. JP Morgan, though, still 129, holding itself on that level. Okay, still strong. Okay, to 129, but keep this in mind. It's on lower volume. Okay, so when it's on lower volume, it's not as real. So keep that in mind as well. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin, trickling down to 28,000. Okay, now it's still in the range, but it's ranging lower. Okay, it's adding some more weight more recently on the downside. So I'm more inclined to think it's going to break down at a certain point. And if it does, it could break down to 26,000. So keep that in mind. Now, the markets have a big number coming out today, so just be aware of it. And we could rattle and roll the markets as things are still unnerving. Okay, lots of demographic, economic, and political issues around the world. And they all seem to be manifesting themselves on the graph. So just be in touch with that. This is Fred Razak. I wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.